What's up, guys? We got this week's best UFC bets for UFC Vegas 105 Murphy versus Emmett. And I'm excited for this week's card. There are a lot of great matchups and a lot of matchups. But let's go ahead and get into today's video with my lock of the week being none other than Joe Anderson Brito to beat Pat Sabatini. Pat Sabatini is a very one-dimensional fighter that relies completely on his grappling to get the better of his opponents. But here against Joe Anderson Brito, I don't think that that's going to work. I feel like Brito is a very well-rounded fighter with a very good striking and a very good grappling game. So I feel like defensively, he's going to be able to snub the takedowns of Pat Sabatini and stay on the feet where he has the complete and utter advantage over Pat Sabatini. Pat Sabatini does not bring enough of a striking threat to really worry about anything other than his grappling side of things. Not to mention, he's very awkward and clunky on the feet, and he's chinny and lacks head movement. So I gotta favor the side of Brito. I feel like he's the more well-rounded fighter. He has more tools in his tool bag, and skill for skill, he's more skilled than Pat Sabatini. So I'm going with Joe Anderson Brito sitting at a negative 235. I love the odds. I feel like the odds are perfect. And I feel like Pat Sabatini is getting a little bit of love because people think that he's going to submit Joe Anderson Brito. But I feel like his defensive grappling is good enough to snub the takedowns, keep this on the feet, and absolutely destroy a Pat Sabatini, finding the knockout shot early on Pat Sabatini. Sitting at a plus 105 for the knockout, I love the odds. Or if you want to take a little bit less risk and shoot straight down the middle and go money line, I love the odds as well, sitting at a negative 235. So that is my lock of the week. And let's go ahead and run it to my most confident picks of this week in Lerone Murphy to start things off. I think he's going to beat Josh Emmett. I feel like Josh Emmett solely has a puncher's chance. He has that one punch knockout power, but that's about all he has. The quicker fighter is going to be Lerone Murphy. Murphy's also going to be the more accurate fighter. I feel like he's going to be able to maintain that distance and close the distance a lot better than Josh Emmett. Not to mention, I feel like he is better in the sense that he could also land some key takedowns in some timely moments and really get the better of Josh Emmett, not only in the striking department, but also in the grappling department. I feel like Lerone Murphy is a very good striker and a very good grappler, and I see him getting the better of Josh Emmett, not only on the feet, but in the grappling department, winning it via decision. But ultimately, I like the money line straight down the middle, sitting at a negative 320. I agree with the odds. I think that Josh Emmett completely only has a puncher's chance. He has that one punch knockout power. And I feel like Lerone Murphy is the cleaner striker, the more accurate striker, and he's going to get things done against a Josh Emmett. And let's go ahead and run it to my next confident pick in Kennedy Nzechukwu over Martin Buday. I think that Kennedy is going to be the quicker fighter, not to mention the more explosive fighter, and he has a significant reach advantage over Martin Buday. I feel like Kennedy is going to absolutely dust Martin Buday. I feel like this was a money move, moving up in weight, going to that heavyweight, where he is going to be the quicker fighter, and he's going to have the more explosive power, especially over somebody like Martin Buday. Martin Buday is very, very sluggish, very slow in his striking. He has knockout power along with every other heavyweight, but again, he's very slow, sluggish, not straight to the target like somebody like Kennedy. So I feel like Kennedy with those straight shots could definitely tag Martin Buday up the middle. Not to mention he could stick on the outside and get the better of Martin Buday, not only on the inside, but on the outside, using that range advantage to the best of his ability. I feel like Kennedy, anywhere this fight goes, whether it's the grappling, whether it's the striking, he's going to have the advantage over Martin Buday. He has the quicker transitions. He has the trickier submissions. Not to mention, on the feet, he has more power. He has more explosiveness in his hands. Give me Kennedy Nzechukwu to beat Martin Buday, sitting at a negative 350. Obviously, straight down the middle. It's a little bit chippy, but that's why I went ahead and threw in the knockout, sitting at a plus 140. I think that Kennedy Nzechukwu is going to have the complete striking advantage, and he's going to find success in knocking out a Martin Buday, who is very slow and sluggish on the feet. And let's go ahead and run it to my next confident pick in Luma Lukbume over Estela Nunez. I like Luma Lukbume. I really do. I think that she's way more technical than Estela Nunez. Estela Nunez is very wild, chaotic. She's very good in the first round, but after that, she's a completely different fighter that looks absolutely atrocious in the octagon after that first round. So that is why I'm going with Luma. I feel like she's going to be the more technical fighter. She brings a very good, well-roundedness to her game as well with the striking and with the grappling. But really her bread and butter is that striking. I feel like she's going to be able to pick and piece apart a Estela Nunez, especially using those high and low snappy kicks. I feel like she could really maintain that distance really, really well and get the better of Estela Nunez in the striking department. And not only in the striking department, but also in the grappling department. I see her landing some key timely takedowns as Estela Nunez gets a little bit chaotic and gets overzealous, leaving herself open to some nice, easy takedowns at the hips, which I've seen in multiple of her fights. Dudikova happened in that fight. And other fights as well. So I feel like Luma Lukbume, if she's calm, patient, and calculated, she can easily get the better of a Estela Nunez over the 3 rounds and win via decision. Sitting at a negative 700, obviously very hard to get value. That's why I brought up the decision line as well. I think that she could win via decision over Estela Nunez. Obviously, you're going to get better odds with that, seeing as the money line straight down the middle is sitting at a negative 700. But I still think that Luma Lukbume is a confident call and is going to definitely get the better of a Estela Nunez, who has time and time again showed that she is just not UFC caliber. So give me Luma Lukbume. And let's run it to the next confident pick in the unders in both Nzechukwu and Joe Anderson Brito fight. I like both of the unders in those 2 fights. I really feel as though both of the fighters in the Joe Anderson Brito and Pat Sabatini fight could definitely go under. You could see a submission finish for Pat Sabatini under, even though I don't believe that's going to happen. I think it's going to be a knockout for Joe Anderson Brito, giving that under. And then on the other side of it, you have Kennedy and Martin Budai, who are both knockout artists and both heavyweights. So I feel like those 2 are also live for that under. I really do. I like the under with Nzechukwu sitting at a plus 155 for the under 1.5. Under 2.5 sitting at a negative 120. I like both of the unders. I really feel as though Kennedy is going to be the quicker, more mobile fighter on the feet, and he's going to find the knockout shot over Martin Budai with a straight shot. And then in the Joe Anderson Brito fight, I feel like Pat Sabatini is too one-sided. You're going to see Brito snub the takedowns, keep this on the feet, and land a knockout shot over a chinny Pat Sabatini. Under 1.5 sitting at a plus 105, under 2.5 sitting at a negative 165. I like both of the unders in both of those fights. I think that they are both a confident call because I feel like a knockout is on the loom for both of those fights. So give me the unders in both of those fights, and let's go ahead and run it to my underdog picks of this week in Cortavius Romeus over Chang Ho Lee. I think he is the underdog pick of the week. I really feel like Chang Ho Lee is kind of one-dimensional. He brings a good striking threat, don't get me wrong, but he relies on his grappling a lot more than his striking. And somebody like Cortavius Romeus, who is a very good grappler and even better striker, I feel like he could use the grappling to snub the takedowns, stay on the feet, and get the better of Chang Ho Lee purely in the striking department. He's a lot quicker with his hands. He has better combinations up the middle. He has nice high and low kicks. Not to mention, he brings a good grappling threat in the sense that he can take you down. He can maintain control of you. He can advance positions and land some nice tricky submissions. I like Cortavius Romeus. I really do. I feel like he could outdog a Chang Ho Lee who hasn't been up against the best competition. And time again, I will say this, Road to UFC doesn't produce the best of the best. And I feel like Contender Series always has the better competition. And I feel like Cortavius Romeus is going to show that here. Sitting at a plus 115 straight down the middle money line, I love the odds for Cortavius Romeus. I really do. Throw away the grappling side of things for this fight. I feel like Cortavius Romeus has the striking advantage. He's quicker. He's more accurate. He's straight to the target. He brings a nice explosiveness as well. I like Cortavius. I really do. I think that he can definitely stand with the grappling of Chang Ho Lee and even better with the striking of Chang Ho Lee, getting the better of him and piecing and picking him apart over the 3 rounds. Give me Cortavius Romius to beat Chang Ho Lee, sitting at a plus 115. I love the money on Cortavius Romius. And let's go ahead and run it to my Degen props of this week, starting off with a Reese McKee submission, or knockout. Not submission, knockout. Reese McKee by knockout, sitting at a plus 475. Listen, a lot of people are sleeping on Reese McKee. He has stellar striking abilities. He has a good reach advantage. He is very good with his combinations up the middle. Not to mention, he sets up his shots very, very well. And I feel like he could easily knock out a Frunza. It's going to be an absolute showcase between these two, where they are brawling and battling it out, in which I think McKee can land a knockout shot. I think Frunza leaves his head on the center line. He lacks that head movement, and I think McKee with the straight shots down the middle could definitely land a knockout. I really do. Give me McKee by knockout, sitting at a plus 475. And let's go ahead and run it to the next Degen prop of this week with Barbosa via submission. Barbosa via submission, sitting at a negative 130, and I agree with the odds, honestly. I think that Barbosa has a clear-cut grappling advantage. I think she's going to be able to land some timely takedowns, garner some control time over Belbita, land some nice, clean ground and pound, and find a submission finish over Belbita. I think that Barbosa is way stronger, way quicker with her transitions, a lot trickier with her submissions, and I think she's going to land one over a Belbita. And let's go ahead and run it to the next Degen prop of this week with Kennedy Nzechukwu via knockout. Like I said, I brought that up previously, sitting at a plus 140. I think he's going to wipe the floor with Boudet. Budai is very slow, sluggish, and he has never battled somebody like Kennedy Nzechukwu, who's so mobile on the feet, so dangerous, and has that huge reach advantage. I feel like he's going to be able to absolutely dust a Budai. I feel like he's going to pick him apart, and he's going to find that knockout shot as Budai gets a little bit overzealous and gets a little bit frustrated with not being able to land as cleanly and as flush as Nzechukwu. So give me Nzechukwu via knockout. And let's go ahead and run it to the next Degen prop in Cortavius Romius via decision. I like Cortavius Romius via decision. I really do. Like I said, I think he can get the better of Chang Ho Lee in the striking department and even fare well in the grappling department, snubbing takedowns and landing some takedowns of his own. I think that Cortavius Romius is being slept on. I feel like he's a really talented prospect with really good striking and really good grappling. And not to mention, Chang Ho Lee is kind of mediocre. I mean, he hasn't been put really to the test up against somebody that's really talented and really skilled, like somebody like Cortavius Romius. And I feel like Cortavius Romius is going to be able to outstrike him, outwork him, find some key timely takedowns in some key situations, and get the decision win. Sitting at a plus 315, I think that is absolute money on Cortavius Romius to win via decision. And let's go ahead and run it to the next Degen prop in Joe Anderson Brito via knockout, which I brought up previously and is my lock of the week. Sitting at a plus 105, I think Brito is going to be able to snub the takedowns of a Pat Sabatini, leaving this on the feet where he has the complete and utter advantage over Pat Sabatini, who is just so one-dimensional. Super one-dimensional. He relies so much on his grappling, in which I think that Brito has a good enough grappling skill set to snub the takedowns and to keep this on the feet and absolutely dust and knock out a Pat Sabatini who's chinny and lacks the head movement. And let's go ahead and run it to my parlays. As these parlays go on, they get more risky, more degen, so do keep that in mind. But let's go ahead and jump right into it with the first parlay of the night in Nzechukwu moneyline, Murphy moneyline, sitting at a negative 145. I think it's safe. I think Nzechukwu with the speed and striking advantage can get the better of a slow, sluggish Martin Budai. And then Murphy, on the other side of it, I feel like he has the advantage in the sense that Emmett only has the puncher's chance. He has that knockout power. But I feel like other than that, Murphy is quicker. He's more accurate. He brings a good grappling skill set as well. And I feel like he can get the better of Josh Emmett over the 5 rounds. Sitting at a negative 145, I think it is safe for that parlay. And let's run it to the next parlay in Brito money line and Zechiku money line sitting at a negative 120. I believe that's safe as well. My lock of the week in Brito to beat Sabatini, and then in Zechiku to beat Martin Budai. I really believe these two are some of the most confident picks of this week. I think that Brito can absolutely slam Pat Sabatini and knock him clean out. Same with Nzechiku. With his speed and explosive advantage, I think he can knock out Martin Budai, who's slow and sluggish. And let's go ahead and run it to the next parlay in Murphy money line under 2.5 in the Brito fight sitting at a plus 111. I think it is live. I think that the Brito fight is for sure going to end under, whether it's a submission for Pat Sabatini or a knockout for Brito. I think that fight is for sure going to be under 2.5. Murphy, I believe that, like I said, the only way Emmett wins it is by that one-punch knockout. And let's go ahead and run it to the next parlay in Brito moneyline and Zechiku moneyline, Murphy moneyline, sitting at a plus 141. Those are some of the most confident calls. If you guys like them, throw in on that live parlay. I believe all 3 of them are live to win. And let's throw it to the next parlay in under 2.5 in the Brito fight, under 2.5 in the in Zechiku fight, sitting at a plus 194. Great plus money. Like I said, I believe both of those fights are going to end under, and I think we're going to see a knockout for both of those fights. And let's go ahead and run it to the next parlay in the underdog pick of the week in Romeus money line, under 2.5 in the Nzechiku fight, sitting at a plus 294. I love the odds. I really do. Nearly 3-1 on something I believe is certain to happen. I believe Romeus is going to be the better fighter. I believe Nzechiku is going to knock out a slow, sluggish Martin Budai. I love the odds. And let's go ahead and throw it to the next knockout parlay of the week in Brito by knockout and Zechiku by knockout, sitting at a nearly plus 400. I love the odds. Like I said, I really feel as though both of those guys are going to put the paws on their opponents and knock them clean out. Especially Brito. Brito has a clear striking advantage and is going to absolutely murk Pat Sabatini. And let's go ahead and throw it to the next parlay in Brito by knockout. Luke Bume, moneyline, Romeus, moneyline, and Murphy, moneyline, sitting at a plus 561. That is the savage parlay of the week. I think Brito can knock him out. I think Luke Bume can easily beat her opponent by being technical, being calm, being patient, being calculated, and just picking her opponent apart in Estela Nunez. And then Garul, I think he can get the better of his opponent. I really feel as though he has a clear-cut grappling advantage. In terms of striking, he could land some nice 1-2s down the middle. He can mix in his crafty combinations. He has good movement on the feet. I like Garul. He's a very stocky fighter with very good fight IQ. So Garul moneyline. And then you have Finney moneyline, sitting at a plus 787. That is the Degen parlay of the week. I love this parlay. I think Romeus is live to win via decision. I think Luke Bume is live to technically and tactically pick apart Estela Nunez. I think Garul could easily use the grappling to his best ability and land some key takedowns, garner some control time, and find success in that area. And then Finney, he's somebody who just will do anything to win, whether it's lay and prey on you, whether it's sit there and go to war with his hands getting the better of you. He will do anything it takes to win. I like Finney. I think he's a dog amongst savages, and I think he could get the win here. And let's go ahead and run it to the last parlay, which is the decision parlay in Demopoulos by decision and Romeus by decision, sitting at a plus 834. I love the odds on this fight. I think that both of them are going to go the distance, and I think both of them are going to get it via the scorecards. I think Demopoulos could easily beat Alnacar, even though it's going to be a very tit-for-tat back-and-forth war, I think she could win it via decision. I really do. I think that she's quicker. I think she's more explosive. I think it brings a very good well-roundedness to her game, and I think that she could beat her opponent. And then Aromius, I think he could clearly beat Chang Hao Li easily. Take away the grappling. They have nearly the same grappling skill set. On the feet, he's a lot quicker. He's a lot more explosive. He's a lot more accurate. And I feel like he's very good at mixing in his striking with his grappling and getting the better of his opponents. So I like Romius. I really do. I think he's a great dog pick of the week. And if you guys haven't, make sure you guys like, subscribe. Let me know what you guys think of the video in the comments. And I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.